Hey everybody, welcome to Hey Sawbones, my story, my passion. Today's guest is an amazing, unbelievable individual. His name is Bill Speros. He's an attorney at the McDonald Illig Law Firm here in Erie, Pennsylvania. He was in the U.S. Air Force for over a decade. Unbelievable attorney, unbelievable professional locally in Erie, unbelievable person. Love him, love his wife Amanda, his children. They're literally like family. Probably one of my favorite people to hang out with, go out to have dinner, drinks with. So stick around. You aren't going to want to miss this episode. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. There's a lot of banter that goes on between the two of us. And at the very end, as always, we have the Sawbones Challenge. You don't want to miss out on that. So stick around to the very end and get ready. This is going to be a fun one.
All nurses to the nurses station.
Lawless country people are real close family. Lately some of my kinfolk don't get around too good, you see. When that doctor asked them, son, how'd you get in this condition? They says, hey, Sawbones, I'm just carrying on an old family tradition. Wanna know, Doc, why do you think I got some pain in my joints from years of playing hard in this life that's too short? When that doctor asked me, son, how'd you get in this condition? I says, hey, Sawbones, I'm just carrying on an old family tradition. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tell me all about it, Doc.
Hi there. Welcome to Hey Sawbones, my story and my passion. I'm Dr. Ryan Molli, orthopedic surgeon, cutter of bones, entrepreneur, business owner, but most importantly, loving husband and father of 3 young boys. This is really just the bare bones version of kind of my background, my story, again, my passion of orthopedic surgery, building multiple businesses. And what I've really tried to do is just be as genuine, as authentic as possible during this entire process. And really, each episode is going to focus on special guests that have been influential to me throughout my life, kind of people I've met along the way. It's going to bounce from, childhood to maybe my high school days to college days, med school, current stuff. So it's not necessarily chronological, but I am super excited about this week's guest. This individual, if you're from the Erie area, he needs no introduction, but he's an amazing individual, both personally and professionally. He is an attorney at the McDonald Illig Law Firm here in Erie. He started there several years back. I'm going to let him tell a little bit more about himself, but he's also been an attorney in the Washington, D.C. area for well over a decade. He trained at the U.S. Air Force Academy, did his undergraduate studies there where he had a degree in general engineering and was an active member of the U.S. Air Force for a decade, from 1993 to 2003. He subsequently went to the University of George Washington School of Law. He had academic honors there, and in 2006, he graduated and has been in practice in, again, multiple venues for law. But without further ado, I'd love to introduce Bill Speros. So, Bill, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Two-Bone.
Two-Bone?
No. Oh, you want to be drumstick? You always want to be drumstick.
What? I don't think I've ever had to.
Okay, same line. I'll call you drumstick. But thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
So I guess there's obviously no ground rules here.
No,
We
no.
came out of the gates with Two-Bone. But anyways, it's going to be fun. It's going to be relaxed. We don't have a script.
No.
We had a general outline of kind of the format that we're going to go through. I kind of went through that with Bill. But first off, I guess just tell me, I know a lot of these answers, but I'm sure you're going to tell me stuff that I don't know. But really what I want is our audience to get to know you. Like, give me a brief background of where you grew up, where you went to school, that kind of stuff, all the way up to kind of current day.
Yeah, so I grew up here in Erie, PA. Went to Cathedral Prep for high school and graduated in
Sorry to hear that.
1989. No, I get that a lot. And then I went to the Air Force Academy for college, as you mentioned. 4 years out there, then went to pilot training. Flew C-5 Galaxies for about, I started off in C-21 Learjet, did that for a little over 3.5 years. Wanted to go to law school at the time. I wanted to go through a program with the JAG Corps called the Funded Legal Education Program, that called it. But that was right after the first Gulf War. They'd already spent a lot of money making me a pilot. They didn't want to spend more making me do something else. So I went on to a follow-on assignment flying C-5 Galaxies. My first assignment was at Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland, flying Learjets. Then went to fly C-5s out of Dover, Delaware. That was a great assignment.
What are C5s? Just to
let's go back. C-21 is a Learjet. It's literally a business jet that the Air Force takes a Lear 35 and reconfigures it so that it can be used for VIP transport and for aeromedical evacuation.
So these are smaller jets.
Smaller 8-passenger jet that we used to do dignitary transport out of Washington, D.C. So Pentagon officials, senators, congresspersons, really very adaptable airplane. I've flown it overseas. It was really fun. But I went from that to the C-5 Galaxy, which is our nation's largest outsized cargo airlift. Humongous. It's large enough to carry 3 Abrams tanks in it, but was weight limited to 2. This is how we carried SEAL boats and the president's helicopters, pre-positioned things. It's a very big.
Like two opposite ends.
Yeah, totally. Honestly, once you're up in the air, every airplane somewhat flies the same, not all, but when you're on the ground taxiing a C-5 around and you have a 222-foot wingspan, my biggest fear was never when I was up in the air. It was always I was going to drag that wingtip against something.
So you couldn't take it down State Street if you needed to do an emergency.
You could. You would just do a lot of damage. So then I went to C-5 Galaxies out of Dover Air Force Base, spent a lot of time overseas, especially after 9/11, in a lot of countries that ended in Stan. A lot of downrange locations.
We're not talking about the Golden Girls stand?
No.
Okay.
No, mostly Kyrgyzstan, Afghanistan. But I also spent a lot of time in Baghdad and other Middle East. Mostly we'd go to forward operating bases in like England and Germany and Spain and then operate out flying cargo and folks downrange.
Were you kind of living over there, or would you?
No, I was stationed in Dover. I would be sent out on a 3-week SRT. It's called a scheduled return time. The C-5 was 1960s, 1970s technology, so we never made it back in 3 weeks. We always broke somewhere, usually some austere location where we'd have to have parts flown in. So you had to be flexible and adaptable.
Braking while you're in the air, or?
No, usually like you land and, I don't know,
Engine falls off?
24 tires on the thing. So something, like little things. Never felt unsafe, but it was, it's what happens when you have all those moving parts given to So we would break on occasion. So you had to be very flexible, and I spent a lot of time away from home. And that just solidified my want to go to law school. I'd had that plan earlier in my career. And then as I was ending my commitment after pilot training, I basically got a phone call. I was in Baghdad. I got a phone call from a commanding officer at the time. And a stop loss had been instituted about 10 to 12 months prior. And a stop loss basically means even if your commitment's up, certain service codes, pilots, navigators, special operations, you couldn't get out. Didn't matter. You signed on the dotted line and there's a war going on and they need you. So I was stop lost for about 12 months. And then my commander called me on a sat phone when I was in Baghdad and said, listen, they're going to lift stop loss. If you're serious about this law school thing, you need to come home and get out of the Air Force.
We were there for like a decade, correct?
I was in the Air Force for 10 years after I graduated, and which is halfway to retirement.
Wow.
So if I'd been even just a few months further along, I probably would have just stayed in.
Yeah.
But I took that as a sign that I was just at the halfway point. So flew my crew back to Kaiserslautern, Ramstein Air Base in Germany, left them there, came home, processed out of the Air Force, and started law school at GW.
So you had already taken the LSAT?
I was home for 3 days, during the war. Flew home from Kuwait, and in that 3 days, I took the LSAT. I celebrated Amanda's birthday and proposed.
It's a big weekend. You obviously had to be preparing for the LSATs prior to that.
Yeah.
Wasn't like
no, I had taken them 5 years earlier.
Okay.
When I was thinking about going through the FLEP, the Funded Legal Education Program. By law school, anybody who's taken the LSATs knows that your law school scores are only good for 5 years. So when 5 years had lapsed, I had to take it.
Gotcha.
So I did a lot of studying up at altitude with the autopilot on, and I got breaks here and there. Maybe it was just a maturity thing, but actually did better on it.
So then you went to George Washington. You did your, was that a 4-year?
3 years for law school.
Okay.
Stayed in D.C. to work at a law firm after I graduated. Also taught at and then got to the point where we had 4 little kids, all born in Washington, D.C. We were just ready to kind of slow things down. So by moving back to my hometown here in Erie, we got halfway closer to Amanda's family in Ohio, Northwest Ohio. So decided to make the move, and I've been here ever since. That was about 8 years ago.
And when you first moved back to Erie, you were not at McDonald-Illig. You were at a different firm, and you were able to work remotely.
I was actually in-house counsel with a payroll company, large Fortune 250. And when I took that job, when I left my law firm in D.C. and took that job, I negotiated.
Okay.
Because it was a remote job.
Ballpark 2014, 15, is that
14?
Pennsylvania? Okay, so you moved back to Pennsylvania. You've got a growing family. You worked at the, was it ADP?
I was at ADP for 5 years.
5 years. So that brings you to 2019. And then you started at McDonald-Illig.
That fall, that November.
And when did you, what's the partnership track?
So they brought me on as a partner.
Okay.
So because I'd already practiced in D.C. for a number of years and then worked in-house as a senior counsel. So
is it typical or?
I think at that point, if you have that much experience.
Sure.
Yeah, typically. I mean, if you have a book of business, and I was fortunate that I was working in the public contract world where I had a lot of contacts and had people bring some of their work with me to the firm. So also fortunate that at that firm were a few friends that I had known either from my childhood here or had met since I had moved back. So, I mean, I was in constant contact with that firm. In fact, the managing partner at that firm, who many people Jim Cullen, he was the father of one of my childhood friends, and he was like a father figure. And he had always joked as I was thinking about law school, I said, "Yeah, someday if you graduate law school, I'm gonna get you up to McDonald." And ironically, he passed away just a couple of years before I finally did actually.
Yeah. Well, he's looking down.
Yeah.
He's probably happy and, toasting you from
and his above. And his legacy there is palpable. I mean, a lot of things in that firm have.
You've mentioned his name to me before. I know the Cullen name. Went to Mercer's. Dan Cullen used to run.
Oh, sure.
Bookstore there. I think he still does, actually. But so, what type of law do you practice?
Can't specialize too much in Erie. So when I was in D.C., I almost exclusively did federal government contract litigation. So bid protests or contract disputes were between the federal government and agencies that hired companies to do work, to provide services or goods to the government. There are government contractors in Erie County, but not a lot of them. So you had to be adaptable. I also do commercial business transactions. I still litigate mostly in federal court. I'm now the Erie County solicitor. Have been.
I mentioned that since
about a year now. Beginning of, yes, right, exactly right. So about 18 months almost.
That consumes a fair chunk of your time.
Let's say that.
Like 40, 50%?
It's a lot. Yeah, it is. It's more than I mean, I love it. It's a challenging job and I like the work, but it is, it's time consuming, necessarily so, and good. But so now I've got government work in my practice.
I mean, you've done a ton of work for me. I kind of think
that's
to myself,
the other 50%.
Yeah, I was going to say, so every time I call you or text you or email you, are you like, okay, Ryan, what LLC are you planning to open up today?
I think you're like 3 away from the record, like in the world. So you got,
yeah.
we can open up.
How many do I have?
Actually, I don't know. Off the top of my head.
Over 10?
Oh, yeah. Let's say more than 10, less than 20.
Okay, so we're in that range. So what's the record? Okay, so the next thing I want to ask you before we kind of get into what I call the beverage break, which I think
I think I like that part.
You definitely like that part. You're going to like this particular beverage that I've chosen.
Oh, you picked the beverage. I love it. This is good. Yeah. All right, good.
So first kind of memory of me, we've told this story so many times, but let's maybe give the Cliff Notes version, and you probably don't know how to do that.
No, yeah, I was going to say, me, I've never given a Cliff Notes version of anything.
I guess give it a little bit of background and paint that picture.
Yes, I have.
While you're doing that, I'm going to start to get the beverage ready.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so I met Dr. Ryan Molli because our wives set up literally a blind date. A mutual friend had said, hey, there's a couple moving here from Michigan. She's Greek. Bill, you're Greek. You guys should get to know one another. So, you were spring-loaded to bring this out, weren't you? That's good. So because of our busy schedules and our kids, it took us a little while. They finally settled on a Friday night. I mentioned I was working for ADP. Well, my home office was in Atlanta, so I had just flown back in from a week and a half in Atlanta. And I didn't necessarily want to go out on a blind date. But Amanda said it took Karen and I forever.
Once you saw a photo of me, though, you probably got pretty excited. And
very, very scared. And so she did get a photo. She actually
I know. Trust me, I know. She
so you can find us.
We had a photo of you, too.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure that was a good photo of me.
A little plug there for Public House, John Melody.
Oh, yeah. So we get there, we have a drink, you walk in, and you look about as thrilled as I felt to be there. Because I said, hey, nice to meet you. Can I get you a drink? And you said,
well, little background from me, too. I had a rough week. I was tired. Fridays, I usually am just wiped out. I come home. You know me. I go to bed early. This is like past my bedtime, by the way, on almost all school nights or work nights. But so I was tired. I was exhausted. I really didn't feel like, quite honestly, just meeting anybody new. I didn't want to put my game face on and do that whole charades thing. And I was just kind of like, I've got enough friends. I don't need any more new friends. I was just tired. But I was doing this for Karen. And so Bill asks me, we're at a nice local bar, restaurant. He says, would you like a drink? And I said, I'm pretty tired. I'm pretty exhausted. I think I'll just, do a coffee.
Which I was thrilled about. Like, oh, this guy's going to be just a bundle of laughs. But then he said, oh, make it an Irish coffee.
Yeah.
It didn't say that too much for me. I mean, it didn't say it to me. I was like, that's like going back and saying, well, it wasn't a virgin deck.
So I get my Irish coffee.
I had my respectable drink. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, probably Zima with some Jolly Ranchers in it,
yeah,
something like that.
Little umbrella.
And I don't know the time frame, but then you decided to maybe amp it up a little bit. You asked me if I had ever done a minder.
No. That did happen. But after we sat down at the table and we're listening to the live band, and hanging out a little bit, and you said, should we do a round of shots? And I said, oh, I think I might like this guy. I might actually like him. We did a round of Fireball before.
Oh, did we really?
Yeah, just at the table. Amanda, Karen, and some other friends that were there did as well. And then we started talking different shots. And then I asked if you've ever done a mind eraser, which for those of you who don't know, it is a shot, but it's in a glass with ice. You do it with a straw. Never a good idea.
And you drink it quick.
You suck it down from top to bottom through the straw.
And it was amazing. It's like a purplish color.
Kahlua on the bottom, so yeah, it's dark.
Yeah, but it was really good. And as soon as we finished it,
first words out of your mouth is like, that was good. Should we do another one? Terrible.
Long story.
The annals of bad ideas, that was one of the worst.
But yeah, we were respectable. I'll just say by the end of the night, we were singing and
you were playing guitar
with the band.
With the band, yeah.
At the bar.
And our wives tried to leave numerous times. Basically had to drag us out. But we came.
Where's your scarf? I was kind of hoping you'd bring that.
I would, but then I didn't want you to feel left out, and I know you can't rock one like I can. So
he had. I thought it was either an ascot when he first lost it.
Just a regular scarf. It was December.
Like Freddy from the Scooby Doo, and he had.
Don't you put down that.
So we do. But anyways, we had a wonderful time. We really hit it off, and our friendship really kind of.
Yeah.
So. A lot of talking, and now we're going to ship it. And we're going to do our beverage break. This is a favorite for both Bill and myself. This is an Italian wine. It is a Brunello di Montepulciano, the 2017 Torello. We've both had this before.
Torello.
Yeah. So I'm going to open this.
Is anything from that region? I know you love old school wines. You always go Italian over something new.
World is my flavor. This is kind of where my family's from because this is from the Tuscany region.
Right.
So, Bill, what I want to do now is we've kind of talked about the format a little bit. Let's shift it so that what we do is we're going to ask, you're going to ask 6 questions. I did tell them about this.
Fancy Erie, PA. I like it. Where are your glasses?
Well, this.
Oh, I see.
I may give it a little bit.
Fill some water in these.
So anyways, promote local, but I'm going to have you ask me your questions. So 3 personal questions, 3 work questions, whichever order you'd rather do that in.
Thank you.
we're going to swap that. And then I'm going to ask you 3 personal questions and 3 kind of work-related questions. And then we've got a couple more things on the agenda and some really fun days. So definitely want to stick around because you don't want to miss the end of this podcast. I can assure you that. So
Cheers.
cheers. And maybe pour a little bit more of mine.
Yes, you got a VFW pour. I got the little boy's pour.
So fire away.
Since we're firing questions and we talked about, I'm going to go the business route.
Okay.
We talked about how you've created a bunch of LLCs. You're very entrepreneurial, especially. I mean, some physicians are, not all are, but you're pretty entrepreneurial. So you've had to hire lots of people, both on your medical practice side and elsewhere. What is one question that you would ask any prospective employee to try to get to?
Oh, goodness. I mean, there's always the generic questions like, what's your strengths, what your weaknesses? And I really don't like to call them weaknesses. Delicious, by the way. Isn't it, Don? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I like to refer to them as growth edges because I think weaknesses is just a real negative kind of connotation and people kind of clam up at that point. But just things that maybe you're not super strong at and that you really look to get better at. But
Growth edges, I like
growth edges.
places where you can grow. Yeah, that's good.
So, gosh,
I got a lot of growth edges.
Wow, that list is long, Bill. We don't have enough time for that. That's an addendum version of this document, episode like 32. But anyways, oh gosh, that's a tough question. He didn't give me any of these questions ahead of time too, so I'm kind of have to think on the spot. But I always try to keep it personal too, like, hey, what do you like to do for fun, things like that. But to me, probably the biggest one, because I'm about culture, and when I formed Whole Health, it was like, we need to think alike. We need to be aligned with our culture. So it's kind of like, what makes you tick and what made you particularly interested in Whole Health and why do you want to work here in particular? Is it you just want a job or were you particularly drawn to this particular orthopedic practice?
Yeah, it's good. Good question. All right. Second question has to do with your social media presence. I mean, you're not a big Facebook guy. The practice is on Facebook and on LinkedIn, but you are really active on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Every day you have actual thematic posts that you do each day. And a lot of those times, whether it's Wellness Wednesday or Throwback Thursday, and you talk about a previous surgery done, you get a lot of commentary from other doctors. So what is one tip or best practice or comment that you've gotten from a doctor and it's really made you change what you do?
Oh, goodness. So for those of you that are not familiar with LinkedIn, it is essentially a Facebook for businesses. And I mean, you can post personal stuff too, but it's really about like-minded individuals. So for me, my network is a bunch of orthopedic surgeons, orthopedic implant device employees, but there's other professionals like attorneys, things like that. So, I throw up challenging cases that I've either performed or like I have one that's coming up this Monday. And so Medical Monday is going to be, hey, here's this case. How would you approach this? And the one thing that I will say is kind of thrown me for a loop is this isn't just a United States thing. This is a global network. And I have surgeons from several from Europe, Japan, Australia. And I will say, and you've been in lots of places in the world, there's cultural differences as well as like language differences. And I feel like the United States surgeons are fairly warm and fuzzy towards one another, whereas some of the other ones either challenge you or they're not too slow to maybe insult you with like, well, that doesn't look too good, or I wouldn't do that at all.
Some aggressive.
Yeah, but I don't even know if they know that they're doing that. But quite honestly, I have my like core group of people, probably 10 to 15 surgeons, and I can't say that there's one in particular, but because I love to pick other people's brains because you're only as smart as what you've been presented before. So these challenging cases where maybe I've seen 2 or 3 of, I can send out, and some of them I don't do on social media. I just do to a select group of 7 or 8 surgeons.
Like a text string you have?
Yeah. Cool. Then we have like an ortho text string that we have. There's
sounds riveting. I'm sure
more riveting than an attorney text string. I can tell you that.
Fair.
But, again, I can't think of one particular thing in, a specific case, but it's really just interesting to see different people's perspectives and how the same problem, 10 different people have 10 different perspectives.
Oh, yeah.
There's almost always a common denominator with a theme of like, hey, you want to do this for sure. You want to do this for sure. But how you get there. And sometimes the nuances of how you get there is different. And it's very regionally different too, because in Europe, they cement a lot of hips, whereas here in the United States, that's really rare. Maybe 5 or 10% of cases are cemented. So kind of answers the question.
No, it does. Yeah. I'm always fascinated to see like how quickly they can just take a look at an X-ray that you there, a description of a particular incision or plan that you have, and say that's great. But I would have done this a little bit. Like everyone has their own way. I guess that's probably true of every.
Sure,
they're talking about really important stuff like medicine.
And what I'm kind of posting on is just like really diving into the details too, like particularly like the bikini style. There's not a lot of guys doing that, but the guys that are doing it, we've learned, and a lot of it is trial and error.
What's a bikini?
So it's not something I'd want to see you in, but so it's a direct anterior surgical approach where instead of doing a vertical incision, which is kind of the classic or traditional incision, we switch the orientation 90 degrees so it goes horizontally, has a much more cosmetic, pleasing result, and it also reduces the chances of wound complications and infection.
So you've been doing the anterior approach. You know, there's a smaller percentage of doctors doing it,
13 or 14.
but this is even a subset of that.
Yeah. This is maybe 5% of the direct anterior hip surgery.
And about what, 15 to 20% maybe?
Yeah, probably. It's definitely becoming more popular, and I think that's, again, a regional thing.
Yeah.
You get into certain pockets, it may be 30, 40%, but globally, probably 15.
Yeah, I've seen video of it. It's just interesting to watch like the muscles snap back into place where it's not not tearing up somebody's gluteus. That's the technical term for by the way.
It is.
Yeah.
Wow. Learn something new every day.
Just offer help when I can. Okay. This is also a professional and hybrid personal question.
Okay.
You like working with your hands.
I do.
If you weren't a surgeon, what would you be doing as a job or as a profession? And you can't say woodwork.
Yeah, because number one, that would be a hobby. It wouldn't be a job because I think it's a pretty hard job. I love building furniture, things like that, but I would definitely be an engineer
Cool.
or an architect. Probably more an architect. I love to not just build, but like create. Like my office project, which some of my questions are going to be regarding your wife with that because she helped me out with that. But it was an amazing project that we did. I mean, this room that we're in here, like this was kind of all my design, and it just it gets my creative juices flowing and just fulfills me artistically.
I think with a lot of practice. Okay, there we go. Heading into the first.
Oh
right?
boy! Now, and by the way, the rules of engagement. Any of these questions, or 6 questions, you can veto one. You can just say, not going to answer that one.
What if I only ask you 5?
You're going to ask me that. So you could ask me up to 7.
I'm resisting the rules. I guess. All right. In addition to your current superpowers, which include VFW pores and the like, you can now also teleport. And the rule of teleporting for you is you can do it as often as you like, but you can only teleport one place ever. Like you can do it every day of the week, but there's only one place on Earth that you can go. So I'm basically like a very complicated way of asking you your favorite place that you like to go to. Second rule is you have to go alone. So you can't take your whole family with you. Where's one place that you would...
That's a good rule because it changes it.
It does, yeah.
How specific does it need to be? Can it be like a region or does it need...
No, it has to be a place. Like you need almost a lat long place. You need that when you need to, you can.
Rome.
Yep.
Rome.
Okay.
Rome, Italy.
Any particular place in Rome?
Probably either the Colosseum or the Pantheon. Or, I mean, I love history and I love Roman history. I love the architecture. I just love the feel. I love the food there. I love the smells. I love the culture. I could, minus the people trying to sell you those spinny things that go up in here. And you know what I'm saying? When you're trying to eat or walk through with your family, but yeah, easy, Rome.
Okay. But that's a place that might, after teleporting there every day or numerous times a week for the rest of your life, might get, like the history part of it might get boring. I mean, is that a place you can also just go and relax and just people watch?
For sure.
100%. Good. That's a good choice. Yeah. I also like Rome. I don't know if it'd be my place. I expected you to say Meadville.
That's number 2.
40-minute drive, you'd still pick the teleport.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes, trust me, that 40-minute drive seems like it takes forever after a really long day. So.
Okay. Question 5.
Yeah, question 5.
Biggest pet peeve.
Oh gosh.
I mean, gets under your skin.
People being late and people breaking commitments.
Yeah.
Can I do two? It's kind of two things in the same.
It's yeah. No, I don't know if it's the biggest, but it's.
I mean, for me, and you know my wife, love my wife dearly. I guess fortunately, my oldest sister Allison trained my father on the art of being late. Consistently would do that, and it just got under my skin. I have a rule: if you're not 15 minutes early, you're 15 minutes late. So, yeah.
No, I 100% agree with you, and I don't know if it's the military part of me or just, but
it's disrespectful to me.
90% of life is just showing up. Honestly, like just be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there, and you'll have a lot of success in life. I've always said. The other 10%, yeah, that's the extra hard work and grit and preparation and all that stuff. But just be where you're supposed to be. So I agree with you. Good pet peeve. All right, here's my last one. You ready?
Yes.
It's gonna take a little while. You and I have been known to have some playful banter and differences with regard to professional.
Veto.
Which is funny because you love the NBA, and I've forgotten more about soccer than I'll ever know about the NBA, but I still like to argue with you. So here it is. I'm going to give you my all-time starting 5. Okay. And you have to come up with, on the spot, your starting 5 that can match up against my starting 5. So you have to
quick question.
Yeah.
So do you have to fill all the positions?
You do.
So you can't be like, I'm playing small ball.
No.
You have to have a center.
I'm going to go with 2 guards, just your regular 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 position. 2 guards, 2 forwards. I mean, I'm going to go small guard, a small forward, point guard, shooting guard.
Got it.
So you just have to match out. So if you decide to go small ball,
who's going first?
I'm going.
Okay.
That's my question. So, but the rules are that you can't obviously name any of the players. If I take a player that you would normally put in your starting lineup, you've got.
We can't go 1-1-1-1-1.
Okay, I'm giving you my 5. This is apropos, given that tonight is game 1 of the NBA. So this has to be a 5.
June 1st, guys.
Imagine that, there's no substitutes. This is a 5-game or 5-player team that has to win a 7-game series against my team. All right. Point guard. I'm going old school, and I'm going revolutionary. Oscar Robertson. First big point guard. I mean, others may have changed the position in other ways, but I think he was ahead of his time.
Okay.
Shooting guard. Because I want somebody that's a supporting role player. Michael Jordan.
Veto.
I'm going with Michael Jordan. Not the greatest player ever, but arguably the best.
Veto.
Arguably the best career ever. One of the most accomplished. And if you want somebody taking a clutch shot.
Yeah.
Small forward, Larry Bird. I want a big trash talker on my team. I want a guy who's going to hit every open 3 he's in. And he's also 6'11".
You're making this tough.
I know. You'll like this one. My power forward is the greatest player to ever walk on the court, LeBron James.
Who's he? Queen James?
You're going to have tough time matching up against him if you don't know who he is. And my center's tough because...
What did he do recently? Are they in the finals?
No.
Lakers? No.
But neither are the Celtics, who you predicted.
Right.
Actually, both teams you predicted.
But they won.
You owe our friend a dinner because...
Maybe, but they did win more games. Like, you could have won 1 game. It would have been more than Ron in Western Conference. That's fine. And so
you're just stalling because you don't know how to beat my team.
The center?
My center, no, I'm a Laker homer, so I should have
gone Kareem or Wilt.
Close. I could have gone Kareem or Wilt or Shaquille O'Neal. I'm going to go defense and experience and championships. I'm going
Hakeem?
Bill Russell.
Yeah, there you go.
Bill Russell. All defense.
That is tough. You've got a Lakers fan, has 2 Celtics. Yeah. I wouldn't call LeBron a Laker. I mean, I would call him a traitor, but whatever you want. Or I just go to where they can build a team and pay people to play with them to win championships.
Solid.
So anyway,
beat my team.
So I have to think about this a little bit because I don't want you to say, well, that's not a point guard, because there's a particular player that has played all 5. Mm-hmm. And I was going to go with him with my number 1, but I'm going Steph Curry for my point guard. Okay. Best shooter of all times.
Change the game.
Yeah. Totally change the game, revolutionize the game.
Bit of a liability on defense matching up against my guards, but good. Yeah. Good.
And you're generational players, right? So you're Oscar, who was amazing I mean, I think Steph is more athletic than him, quite honestly.
Yeah, but quicker. Robinson's 8 inches taller too.
Correct. So that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. I'm going to need some help defensively to help out on that. You took my number 2, which is my number 1, Michael Jordan. So good Lord, I gotta find a good shooting guard. So, and you have some defensive presence there too, which I'm all about offense. The best defense is a great offense, in my opinion. So I know you don't like this, but I need some trash talking too. I'm going Reggie Miller. I've got 2 shooters, both defensive liabilities, but I'll make up for that.
You better. That's a terrible backcourt defense-wise, but they can both shoot. They can both
Okay,
shoot.
so where I'm going to make up with that, and this is a little biased, but I'm going Scotty for number 3. I'm going to do him as my small forward.
I do like Scottie Pippen.
Amazing defender, though you can score.
He's been in the papers recently, knocking a little bit.
He's not a huge Jordan fan these days, which I think someone should. He was great before you came to the team, and without him, he wouldn't have won 6 championships. But symbiotic relationship. Right? So that's my number 3. Number 4, power forward. Gosh, I'm going to go atypical here. I'm going Magic Johnson. All right. And I know you're going to say he's a point guard, but he's played all 5 positions.
Yeah, actually, when he came back after remember when he contracted HIV, took a little break, came back, bulked up, he was playing. Yeah, a smaller power forward.
So
he's 6'9".
What I like about him is he's big.
Mm-hmm.
He can match up. He can defend. And we're talking prime, not like late career man.
No.
Like he could have played that position earlier on, but his court vision is.
He played center in the NBA Finals
he did when Kareem went down. Yeah. So, and then center. Gosh, I was originally going to go with Kareem, but I think I'm actually going to go with Shaq. Just get a big freaking powerhouse in the center there. Clog up the lane so that when Jordan does come in, he's going to have a little bit of a challenge. When LeBron comes in, he's going to have a little bit of a challenge. And offensively, he's going to score a lot of points too.
Good answers on the spot. You will get killed by my team. But
well, because he had the best player in the world, Michael Jordan.
Well, you could have gone a lot of other. You could have gone Kobe. You could have Hakeem. You could have gone. I mean, I don't know.
Honestly, if I had to think about it a little bit more, I probably would have put Kobe in the number 2 position as opposed to Reggie. But
I like Reggie though. That's not one I would have thought of.
Say he's more my trash. He's my Larry Bird, right? So he'll jaw with him. So
yeah, he's good 6-man too. If we went 6 deep each, you did it.
Gosh, I don't think I'm going to be able to top those. So we'll reverse now. So
okay.
I'm going to ask you. So I'm going to do the 3 business first. So, I know what you do. I know the type of law that you practice. I guess, what would you say, and you could veto this if you want to, but and you don't have to give any details, obviously, but what would you say was one of the most challenging clients you've ever had to deal with, or situations, maybe a litigation or something like that? Without too many details.
Yeah, no, I that's a pretty easy question actually for me, because it was early on in my legal career. I was an associate at my law firm in DC, my first firm that I was at, and a partner had this Florida company that basically refurbished aircraft parts and sold them to the Department of Defense. It was a smaller family-owned company. It was like the largest privately owned supplier of aircraft parts to the Navy and Air Force, but couldn't really pay the higher rates. And the partner sort of trusted me as an older new associate who had some government contract experience and had flown planes, and therefore at least was familiar with the terminology to handle the case. And it was just a really, really challenging client who could not get out of his own way. He would make promises to his customers in the Department of Defense and breach his contract. Say if you're going to do business with DOD, you got to cut square corners. Like there's no hemming and hawing. There's no taking a slightly refurbished part that doesn't meet a spec and say it meets a spec. His company did a bit of that. So it was really a lot of hand holding, and it was challenging because I was up in DC.
And you're a young attorney at this point.
I mean, I'm a new attorney. I was, in my younger 30s. So, maybe a little bit more mature than your average first or second year associate. But every time I went to the partner with a question, he was always patient and helpful. But he would say, "Listen, I'm not working on this. This is you. This is your client now. I'm giving this to. And true to his word, when that partner retired a couple of years later, that client was mine. And there were some other issues too. The CEO of the company had some personal issues that just made it really challenging. And I just, as a young lawyer, had to grow up pretty quickly with that client.
Yeah. I mean, I no matter what, right, there's challenges here and there, but like you have, like, these people are paying you to, you kind of have to put your best foot forward, look out for their best interest. But I have a lot of respect for what you do, because you have to take that high road, but you also have to keep your client's best interest in mind, and trying to protect them, right, while representing them. So question number 2, who would you say is your professional mentor? You had like one person that was like the person, guy or girl, that really influenced you to get you to where you are?
Yeah, definitely. There's a gentleman named Jim McCullough, who was a partner at Fried Frank, which is the Fried Frank, Harris, Shriver, and Jacobson's, the first firm that I worked with in D.C. He just really, he's a former Navy guy who was a partner at the firm, and just took me under his wing. When I was a summer associate at the firm while still in law school, he said, that guy, he's a former Air Force guy. We're kind of kindred spirits, and just taught me a lot about government contracts. In fact, when he started to slow down later in his career, and just he still hasn't quit. I mean, he still has clients.
But he still practice.
He does, much, not to the extent he used to, but
Sure.
even when he started to slow down, and I saw the writing on the wall for that practice group in that firm, I actually switched firms in DC because I couldn't envision myself at that firm without working like almost full time with them. And I went to Arnold and Porter, which is a fantastic law firm, and I met great people there too. But I think the one person who probably influenced me the most in my legal career was Jim McCullough.
That's awesome. I love hearing kind of the story behind the story. We all have those people. Mine is Greg Coppola. You heard that story, but it's so important that we pay tribute to these individuals, because they help to shape us, bring us to where we are, help create who we are. And my third and final question, kind of similar to what you asked me, is if you were not an attorney, what would be kind of your dream job? However, can't be a pilot either.
Ooh. It's funny. I don't know that even if that wasn't your rule, that I would choose pilot. Like I kind of fell into being a pilot. And there were a lot of cutbacks while I was at the academy. And when I was offered a slot, I thought it'd be stupid to turn it down. But I wasn't one of those kids who grew up with like posters of F-16s on my wall. I loved flying.
You probably grew up with posters of Tom Cruise on your wall.
Well, who didn't? It's 1980, man, like the 80s. Yeah.
That guy does not age either.
No. Hasn't grown either since he was a child. So, I would be a sports writer.
And
now,
you need some work on that. I mean, you obviously don't understand like the skill.
I would probably
with basketball
cover soccer exclusively. I would travel the world. I would cover numerous leagues. I mean, as it is now, I religiously follow the Greek Super League, English Premier League, MLS. I follow Bundesliga, basically anywhere where the U.S. players play. And I'm a huge international soccer fan. So
I do.
I've been to the World Cup.
And that is the sport that they kick that little ball around.
Yeah, that's right. We're not allowed to use our hands. We're too good for that. So yeah, I would love to just, I mean, even now, if I had any spare time, I would just start like a soccer blog and just write about it. Love this.
I started a podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of lazy in my opinion.
That's right. We're not starting. Note to self, start your soccer blog.
So, all right, personal question.
All right.
Gosh, I know how important Amanda is to you.
Me.
Yeah, Amanda, are you watching this? Because this guy, he's in trouble. I mean, what's your favorite thing about her? Maybe just talk a little bit about her. It's almost like, I don't know if this is necessarily a question, but a little bit. Like, what's your favorite thing about her, and like, what turns you on most? Like, because she's a very, very creative, successful businesswoman.
Yeah. Gosh, there's so many things, as there is with anybody when you're talking about your partner. Like, it's hard to like distill to one thing. But I guess it's a very nuanced answer. But I love Amanda's ability to make a situation turn out exactly the way she wants or she thinks it should, but you don't know she's influenced the situation. Like, she gets me to agree to do things that I don't even realize that wasn't my idea.
Almost like she's an attorney.
Yeah, almost. she's just really good at that. The kids will come to her with a question, and she's just really good about just offering suggestions and making them understand what the better option would be. I mean, she lets them make their decision and make their mistake and roll with it if they do, but she's really good. It's not passive because she's very active and she's very, really smart, but understated. I don't know. I just love that. She doesn't even say a word when she walks in a room, and definitely my head turns and I see others too. And it's not her looks. It's just her presence. She's a very calming influence around people all the time. And it's a great thing for our family.
Yeah. So speaking of your family, 4 kids, got 2 boys, 2 girls.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your favorite kid? No, I can't ask that question, but
That's a terrible question. Everett.
I'm kidding.
He's the youngest.
No, I mean, but you are so busy with your children. I mean, we have 3, you know, that they say going from 2 to 3, you're going to zone, but you have 4 and there's 2 of you. So like, what do you like to do when you're not carting kids from volleyball to American Ninja Warrior to swimming, coaching, diving, soccer? Like, what do you do with your free time? What's your favorite thing to do if you have time?
With the kids? Or
No, you. Just you.
Oh gosh, that's tough because I think I'm about to embarrassingly admit I don't really have a hobby right now. I don't have time for one. I wish I did. I wish there was
It's
something.
a soccer blog.
It's going to be. Now that you've shamed me into it. I'm also going to admit that I'm not one of those people that needs to be alone or loves to be alone. So really, that's why I asked with my kids or with my family. If I just have free time, I like to spend it with my family or with friends. I like to go out and do things. I love beaches. I love bars or coffee shops or any kind of social, interactive atmosphere. I'm not the kind of person you will see go off on long hikes. When I do hikes, it's with 2 or 3 other people. You and I have hiked on the Appalachian Trail or the Laurel Highlands. I have a buddy that I've done the Appalachian Trail section hikes with, but never going to do those things on my own. I guess in my spare time, I like to spend it just with people I like.
Yeah, you're definitely a people person, which is probably my favorite thing about you. You know, I joked at the beginning where I said, like, he doesn't need an introduction. I truly mean that. And that kind of segues into my last question here. And I've joked about this.
A lot for this one.
So when are you going to get into kind of the political realm? Because I've always joked about this. I said, Bill's the mayor of Erie. He's not really yet. But like, do you ever see yourself? Because I totally see yourself in the world of politics. And I think you'd be amazing at it.
Thank you. And I take that honestly as a really big compliment because it's not I don't think it's an easy job. I've gotten an up close look at least local politics now that I've been the county solicitor for a year and a half. And here's what I'll say. I get the question more often than you might think. I haven't decided anything about it, but it's not that I would never do it. I really just think that a lot of people that go into politics don't, in their mind, they have the roles reversed. All these people are going to vote for me, so I'm their leader. It's not that. These people vote for you. You work for them.
Mm-hmm.
They're your boss. It's all about representing your constituents, whether that's in municipal government or if you're in Congress down in D.C. to represent your corner of the world, of the country. And I think a lot of people go into it for the wrong reasons and have that wrong. And I would like to think if I do decide to do that, I'll remember the right way to approach it. And that is that I'm there to be the voice for people in the governing body. That's the whole idea behind our democracy. And obviously I've thought about it. I mean, I have these feelings about it. Do I have a timetable on it? No. Like I mentioned Everett, he's 9.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not in any hurry, but perhaps.
Maybe phase 2 of your career?
Well, it'd be phase 3, I guess, at this point, because I had the Air Force phase.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I'd vote for you.
Well, thanks. I would need you to help fund the campaign.
We'll have lots of wine, maybe a cigar.
We get a lot of work done. I'll tell you that.
All right. So now it's time for what we call the 7th inning shoe stretch.
Oh,
right?
goodness.
So for those of you that know me, for those of you that don't know me yet, one thing you're going to get to know is that I love shoes. All right. So my guilty pleasure, one of my hobbies, my pastimes has become collecting shoes and particularly Air Jordans.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're going to find throughout all these episodes, and we've already done a couple of episodes, is that each episode I'm going to be wearing a different pair of shoes. There may be some redundancies here and there, but if I have anything to say about it, no. Got a new pair every time. But there's always a story behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And, I asked you, wear one of your favorite pairs of shoes. I've seen these shoes on you many, many times.
Yeah.
Please.
That sounded almost passive aggressive. Like, really, Speros? You don't have any other shoes?
No, but I know there's got to be a story.
Yeah.
So
I'm assuming there's a story because these are the ugliest things I've ever seen. So like,
oh wow, wait until I tell you the story. You're gonna feel horrible. But
okay.
so Bill, you're gonna go first. I'm gonna reach.
Grab it. Okay. All right. So I'll admit I did not put these on purposefully because you asked me to wear a pair of shoes. But I do wear them a lot, and here's why. These are probably they're definitely the oldest shoes I own. They are, I purchased them in 2000.
Felt like when I was born.
Sure, let's go with that. They are K-Swiss Ashley Blue Walkers or like VN Athletics or something like that. But the reason I got them is because Amanda and I were moving to Greece. We were going to be there for 8 months, and it was just purely travel and vacation. And someone recommended, like, if you're going to get a pair of really good shoes that are not only comfortable for lots of walking, but they're sturdy, ruins, steps of the Parthenon, whatever you're doing, or the Acropolis. So I bought them, and I've yet over 18 years found a more comfortable pair.
So did they have the grass stains on them when you purchased them?
Nope. That's new.
That's something that's kind of come over.
Yeah. I unlike you, I don't buy shoes and put them in display cases. I actually am lucky to find the left or the right one on any given day.
Yeah, Zeus hasn't gotten a hold of these yet, huh?
Zeus doesn't like shoes. Actually, when my feet aren't in them, no one goes near these.
He only actually eats things that he could actually eventually put
The things that can pass through.
I'm trying to be politically correct here, but
he's never eaten a shoe, but he has eaten maybe like I don't know. Zeus is our humongous dog.
Great dog,
but has an appetite for things he's not.
Things you and I would say are not edible, but he
ate like 3 tubes of toothpaste. He ate an entire bag.
Squirting it out.
He went right through the side of the tube. He ate an entire bag of peaches from the supermarket, which the pits are like poisonous, but he threw up just the pits. He kept everything. He's eaten gloves, socks galore. I mean, not just
people sock fetish, right?
but long, like soccer socks, long socks. Yeah. I've seen those twisted up in the yard. He's a miracle.
A miracle he's still alive.
All right. I want to hear this.
So these actually just arrived in the mail today.
No way.
They did. And so this is the Air Jordan 5 lows, and these are actually called, a great story actually, the Dornbecker Air Jordan 5. So the story behind this, they're a freestyle version. This Dornbecker, it's a children's hospital, and they have young children patients that design shoes. And what they do is all the profits from these shoes go back to the Dornbecker Freestyle Foundation and to that children's hospital. They've raised, since 2004, they have raised over $30 million for that particular institution. And these are the Michael Wilson version. So on the back, there's his initials, MDW. Michael's an 11-year-old kid diagnosed with Krabs disease. And he designed these shoes, the colorway, everything. I mean, there's so many cool features here. There's a macaroni noodle here. The laces. The other reason I wore these today is June 1st, first day of
Pride Month, and I see the little what are these?
Yeah, I don't know what that thing's called. At the end of the lace, but
not that.
I just thought it would be appropriate. I like it. The rainbow color just representing, and I mean, there's so many cool features here. He's got an eyeball over here. He's got the swoosh here. The soles are different. One has a shark. One has a hourglass. I'm not sure which one, but so this was Michael's design, and like I said, it has his initials on the back. This is a really cool feature. They have like these Velcro patches, and there's like 4 different ones that he designed. There's a shark one. There's an hourglass one. There's a couple other features. This is called the Air Michael. Not Jordan, but for him. So
like Velcro Olsen.
Yeah. So yeah, you can put that on there. But so that's what this is and kind of the story behind it. Again, I love shoes, and my story I'm sticking to.
Well, I apologize to Michael D. Wilson wherever he is. That's a great story, and they're not the ugliest shoes I've ever seen.
They're close.
No, they're awesome. Like I like all the
they got a little flair, right?
Good stuff.
So we got 2 more things left.
All right.
We got the Sawbones Challenge, which
Can't wait.
You don't know what that is yet, but I'm going to surprise you.
And doesn't involve sitting on the floor.
No, it's actually, you're pretty competitive. I'm pretty competitive.
Oh, no.
Jim Toohey, where are you?
No, gosh. It doesn't involve a football in your front.
No football, but,
yard.
and eventually what we're going to do here is I'm going to get a spinning wheel, and there's going to be probably 5 or 6 different challenges on there.
Good.
But tonight, I'm not even giving you the choice of spinning the wheel. We're going to go outside, and we're going to, we are. We're going outside.
Is it a basketball?
Oh, sorry, LeBron.
Shot
Well, I'll give you 2 warm-ups.
Okay. I don't even need them.
And so we're going to go outside and we're going to do a little competition. We're going to do, I'll leave it up to you whether you want to do a free throw girls competition or a 3-point competition.
Out your hand, granny free throws, because I can't.
Any way you want to shoot it. You can shoot foul shots. I'll probably shoot threes because that's where the men live. And, once a 2.
Men who are afraid to go to the paint.
Yeah. When a dunk's worth 3 points, I'll start doing it. That's what I always used to say.
Sure, that's when you'll be able to do it. Okay.
I mean, I choose not to dunk. I always chose that throughout my
That's smart.
So, but anyways, we're going to do the Sawbones Challenge. You ready, buddy?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Sawbones Challenge, okay? So we're going to do a competition. First one to make 5 shots. This is essentially a 3-pointer, right?
Sure.
But Bill's obviously going to lose. So, and I'm going to allow him to go first as my guest.
It is your home court.
So here we go.
Oh gosh.
Good luck, Bill.
All right. I can't decide whether I'm.
We're going to alternate too.
Am I set shooting this or jump shooting? Like I don't know what to do.
You probably want to just throw it like a football because you're not going to be able to get it there.
Oh. Money. Oh.
We will let the football occur. We don't need to worry about that.
Oh goodness.
One.
Your shooting form is terrible.
Went in.
Ooh.
So was
That's
Larry's.
So was my mom.
2 for 3, baby. But she was third in the nation.
Oh, I know. And then her coach tried to fix it and messed her up.
3.
Ooh. Wow, you've been out. Boys, is he out here every night practicing?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Tino's winking over
Oh,
there.
that's off. First of all, that's like a rubber kindergarten. Oh man.
Uh-oh.
This is a blood
Game! Set match! That's it, folks. Sawbones Challenge.
Nice shooting.
Hey.
All those hours paid off.
Hey, diligence, grit, determination,
All part
all
of it.
those things. Thank you, Dad, for making me go play basketball every morning at 5 a.m. during the summer.
Just this past week?
Yeah.
Your dad's out here drilling you?
Let's go watch some basketball.
Now
NBA
I'm going to make one.
Finals, Game 1. Here we go. Let's go Miami. So, in closing, Bill, any final questions you want to ask of me? Of like what I like to look at too is like I have some questions for you. Is like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? You and Amanda as a family, you personally. Let's do 5 years and then 10 years.
Both 5 and 10 in debt, probably. But as our kids are busy and keep us running. But no, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if my trajectory doesn't change at all from where it is right now, and I'm 10 years from now a partner at McDonnell Dillig and hopefully still providing great service to my clients, such that they're happy, and I'm still working with partners and associates that I like and am challenged by and enjoy, then that's fine. If I decide to make a career shift and do something different, we'll see. But really, I mean, I think you and I have the same mindset in this regard, in that once you have children, so much of what you do is you and your partner making sure those children have every resource and every opportunity.
Yeah, and some kind of location too, right? Like it's hard to uproot a family.
Yeah.
Change careers or change locations because I mean they're in school, they're this or that, but
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the main reasons we moved back to Erie, because although I love DC, I miss it every day for one reason or another. Food. We recognize Erie is a great place to raise it. We wanted our children to have the same type of upbringing that I had, and Amanda had something similar where she grew up in Ohio. And so whether it's 5 years or 10 years, it's just making sure that my family is happy, on solid footing, and everybody's doing what they loved.
I have no doubt you will be successful no matter what you choose to do in 5 or 10 years. Your family will be as well. Great family, great kids, great profession, great career.
Well, I
I trust you wholeheartedly with any project I've ever brought to you. And
Well, I'm happy to be a part of the projects, because I say the same thing about you. I mean, my kids call your wife Thea Karen, consider her an aunt. They call you
And in Greek, that's like aunt.
aunt. Yeah, they call you Dr. Mojo. Totally different, but
Yeah.
still
We'll save that for a different episode.
Right.
The story.
But yeah, same thing. And you've done some amazing things with your practice and with all of your ancillary businesses, and you're just going to continue, I know you, to push it and grow. And I'm happy to be a small part of it.
a big part of it. And thank you for all that you've done.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, my friend.
Yeah, good to be here.
So that concludes Hey Sawbones, my story, my passion. Thank you for joining in. Can't wait for you to see next week's episode. We're going to give you a sneak peek here in a little bit, but thanks again for joining in. And as always, just have fun, be authentic, be genuine, and we'll see you next week. Take care. So excited about today's guest. This guy is an unbelievable local legend in the Meadville / Crawford County / Northwest Pennsylvania area. Justin Johnson. I think this is going to be probably one of the top hitters in terms of the Hey Sawbones podcast. People have known him from his high school athletics. He has been an amazing ambassador for high school athletics on the coaching side as well. So really excited to bring him on today. And you're not going to want to miss this. Remember, we've got the Sawbones Challenge at the end, so please stay tuned through the entire thing. Just a lot of good memories, going back and forth, bringing up some funny old stories from the past. So stay tuned. We'll be right with you.
Well, I have loved some fishing in the outdoors where I'm free. It's where I spent my time before I hurt my hip and my knee. When that doctor asked me, son, how'd you get in this condition? I says, they Sawbones, I'm just carrying on an old family tradition. I wanna know, Doc, why do you think I got this pain in my joints from years of playing hard in this life that's too short? When that doctor asked me, son, how'd you get in this condition? I says, hey, Sawbones, I'm just carrying on an old family tradition. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tell me all about it, Doc.